So I'm filling prescriptions using a speakerphone to talk to clients about their bar mitzvah reception or their wedding, and what's the special song. You want Hava Nagila? Do you want, Mazel Tov? What do you want?
Hey guys, Alex Rich.
Ben Poremba.
Hey, we are excited to let you know that we have episodes of our podcast, Jews in the Lou, dropping every other week, and you're not going to want to miss. We have some great guests lined up.
Amazing. And while I have you, I want to thank the St. Louis Jewish Light for their incredible partnership and support of our podcast. St. Louis Jewish Light doing amazing work for our community, keeping us informed with stories, with updates.
And visit stljewishlight.org. Subscribe to their newsletter. They'll keep you up to date on everything going on.
Absolutely.
I'd also like to thank a very special person that makes all of this possible. Michael Steinberg, who does so much for the community, also is a big part in making Jews in the Lou a thing that we're able to continue to do to bring you these unique stories time and time again. And we appreciate Michael Steinberg, everything he does for the community, the Jewish community here in St. Louis, and everything that Michael Steinberg does here for Jews in the Lou.
Oh, Arnie, yeah. Okay.
He was a legend, right? He was a good horn player.
He was okay horn player.
Good dude, though.
But he used to do all the contracting at the arena. So he'd do the ice capades, the ice follies, the rodeo, the circus. He would hire the musicians.
You're going, yeah?
And he would take the money and go out to Vegas and gamble it away.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
He was an okay trumpet player, but he always wanted to be the first trumpet player.
Yeah.
And the guy sitting next to him was always way better.
Yeah.
But Arnie was a showman. I mean, listen, he's a lot older than me. My dad knew him better.
Right.
Because my dad was a violinist in the symphony.
Right.
So him and Arnie worked a lot of times together.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
and then my mom.
And you played the saxophone, right?
Trumpet.
I was a
Trumpet,
trumpet.
dude.
Myers
Are
is
you kidding me?
saxophone. Mark Myers.
Yeah, that's right.
If you went back and perfected one of the, I mean, you know them all. Do you think you'd choose saxophone? Because I was a trumpet player as well.
Were you?
First chair in high school.
What
Actually,
school?
freshman year.
Where at?
Parkway North.
Okay.
Freshman
They
year.
had a good band. Mr. Blackwell was the good.
When I was there, it was, and then I had Mr. Lynn.
All right. Blackwell got fired. He's
but
gone now.
First year trumpet player. Freshman year in high school.
I
All
had
the
no
seniors
idea.
hated me, and
Really?
I was taking trumpet lessons from Malcolm McDuffie back in the day.
He's not around in St. Louis, but he's still around.
Is he really still around?
He was one of my He was one of my long trumpet, herald trumpet players at the VP Ball. Which
Yeah,
is
no
coming
kidding.
up in a couple of weeks, and so, but he moved. I forget where to, but he moved out of one of the best trumpet players in town.
He was great. So,
So
I
you-
guess going back to my question,
yeah.
I was a trumpet player. I always wish I would have played the saxophone though,
Right.
because the saxophone, like
It's a
to
cool.
me, it's a cool
It's
instrument.
a saxophone, not the
But
saxophone.
yeah, saxophone.
But you're a trumpet player.
Well, I mean, you got to go back to the beginning. So on my parental side, my grandpa, his name was Rupstein. He came from Kiev, and he worked on a milk farm. And there's a picture of him, the group of people before he had to leave. But what he did before he worked on the milk farm, he was a trumpet player, bugler actually, no vowels, so bugler for the Tsar of Russia.
Oh, wow.
But this is in 1904. The Jews weren't welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So he snuck out on a menorah wagon. And lucky when they put the Farkin, they didn't get him. And he came to Ellis Island as Meyer Rupstein. But when he got a job at the World's Fair in 1904 at a restaurant called the Trillion Alps, which was on De Bolivar and like Forest Park Expressway, kind of Lindell, he went to the gate and they couldn't spell Rupstein. I mean, the silly guy at the gate can't spell it. So this guy picks up a rock. He says, "Your name is going to be Stone." So my grandfather was Meyer Stone. That was
no
his
kidding.
name. So he had some music in him. Matter of fact, I remember when I was playing the trumpet, I played the Russian theme song, and he clapped along. So on the other side, though, Grandpa Schankman, he came from Poland, and Grandpa Schankman was a violinist and a saxophone player. And I actually had a music store down on, one of the Goodfellow or one of those stores. It was called Shanks because the store wasn't big enough to put Shankman's. The storefront was too small for Shanks.
Yeah,
So they just
I
call
love
it
that.
Shanks.
And it's kind of, I got a picture of it. So he sold men's underwear, garter belts, men's garter belts and socks on one side. The other side, he had instruments, banjos, clarinets, trumpets.
Like a music bodega.
Yeah,
great.
bodega.
I love that.
So he was a violinist, saxophonist. My dad was the firstborn male. Matter of fact, there were 4 brothers, and he was the oldest, my dad, Leon. And if you're the firstborn Jewish son, you're playing the violin.
Yes.
And my dad would practice all day, all night. And matter of fact, when he wasn't practicing, Grandpa would rip him out of bed and put him in front of the stand. And my dad was reading comics because he had memorized all the music.
Yeah.
So I did start on violin. So whatever grade, fourth grade,
Yeah.
I didn't like it because it wasn't jazzy enough. I couldn't play the Saints Go Marching In the first day.
Right, right.
So we had an old beat up trumpet. So the second year, I took the trumpet to school, and they said, Steve, you're already scheduled to be a violinist. We can't change because these kids already played for a year. I said, well, let me play for you. So she says, well, can you play a B flat scale? I said, sure. How many octaves? Anyway, I was a trumpet player from then on. But it's funny how people always ask you, what else do you play? Well, it's hard enough to play the trumpet. I have a 4-hour gig on Saturday,
Right.
Casaluma. And I mean, I don't practice because I don't have time. I got, 3 little kids, 2 big kids, 2 grandkids. So I'll warm up a little bit, flutter my lips and a little bit, and then I go play. So, and I also have another trumpet player now who's the best trumpet player in town, Dustin Trum, a young guy. I mean, he's got the lip,
Yeah.
but he plays every day. I mean,
So how many members in your band?
this band, the Motown,
Yeah.
15.
15.
Yeah,
Is this
it's been
Motown
around.
Review?
Yeah, 35 years we've been around.
15 people.
Well, yeah, it's a mixed group. So we have 3 black girl singers, 3 black guy singers. So that's 6 up front. We have 4 horns. That's 10. And then we have 5 rhythm. I have the only full-time percussionist in town.
But you're not doing all 15 people every single time, or are you now?
Oh yeah, every job.
And how often do you go out? And
Well, when I met Katie, my wife, that I know you're going to be talking to this week, I was playing over 100 jobs, maybe 110 jobs
a year?
a year. But again, I started doing it because I had to make money, and then I kept doing it because I like doing it.
And Ben doesn't understand fully, I think, like maybe you do, but playing the trumpet that many times throughout the year is like, you got like the chops that you have to have for it are like,
Well, it's like
It's
any
insane.
other muscle. It's a must. I was at the gym today. No more than working this out today.
right.
You got to work
Right.
that out.
Yeah.
But the cardio is
cardio.
good. Anyway, after I married Katie, I cut it back to about 60 jobs a year. And after the kids, it's probably 50 jobs. But I not only play in my band. So if bands come to town and they need, trumpet players. I mean, I've played with Aretha Franklin. I've played with the Moody Blues. I've played with Michael Bublé. I mean, so I've played with a lot of big name
Yeah.
entertainers through the years. So like Charles Glenn needs me on a Saturday night. If I'm not busy, I'll play with Charles.
Right.
I could show up at the Ritz playing with Arvell in the lobby.
Right.
So I try to keep playing at least once a week somewhere.
Yeah.
Like Christmas is coming up down the street at the Gathering.
Mm-hmm.
So we have 4 services on Christmas Eve.
Wow.
And I have my horn section's playing actually, and we'll do 4 services, which is a lot. And it's all Christmas music, but it's high arrangements and high
Yeah.
notes. So anyway, I love to play. It's my passion. It's my grounding. It's like you in the kitchen. I watched you at your house a year ago.
That's
I
right.
think it was a year. No,
A couple of years ago.
a couple of years ago because the war just broke out.
Yeah.
And I watch how you just have, because we have 3 kitchens and 2 full bars in our house. And I don't drink and I don't cook. But you can come over and go, what kitchen do you want?
Yeah.
We got upstairs, we got the pool house, we got the one in the catering.
Yeah.
And I watch him. He's like a scientist. Everything, how you got all these people here, you got all this stuff already set up everywhere, and he just goes boom, 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 and you have dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, boom, boom, boom for me is like I wanted a little salad before I came here. I couldn't figure out how to make vinegar and
This
oil.
was a very special night, and I will tell our Jewish audience that and our non-Jewish audience that you were very, very generous that night. We were raising money for a good cause, and I cooked at my house for a small group of people.
Shabbat.
Yeah, we did a Shabbat dinner at my house. It was great. I have a vivid memory of you playing, and I'll tell you what it was. When Gene Lin became a Hall of Famer, a St. Louis Jazz Hall of Famer.
Right, I did that show.
He did that show. It was touching, and he passed not that long after.
Yeah, he used to come down to BB's down on Broadway because I
Yeah.
used to play there on Monday nights with the big band.
Yeah.
He had the silky smooth voice, a sweetheart of a guy, and gone too soon.
Gone too soon. So he and I were unlikely friends because I was in college. This is 97, 98. And I lived in the Central West End. And Gene, this was the final years of Gene Lin's on Lindell.
Yeah, the bar,
the bar.
the club,
And I know I had a fake ID, and
you didn't need it. He let you in anyway.
but he would let me in anyways.
Yeah.
And here we go. This was at that time, a 60-year-old black man and an 18-year-old
Yeah.
Jewish kid from Israel.
Yeah.
And we became very close friends.
Yeah.
And I will say this was formative education for me because Gene used to throw on this is things that you can't get away with these days.
Right.
But on Fridays at Gene Lean's, he used to do a thing during the day called ribs and lingerie. And
know that. I kind of like it.
it was a bunch of middle-aged black men and me, just sitting around. And Jin used to put a big chef hat
Oh yeah.
in a beautiful apron on, and he used to cook ribs.
Right.
And he hired girls to walk around in
Like
lingerie,
a fashion show.
and it was a fashion show.
And he got a full house for it.
Yeah, it was full house for it. It
Oh,
was
I would love
incredible.
to have gone. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
But I've played some crazy places too, because I started in East St. Louis when I was a kid playing at London House East. And I mean, I must have been 16, 17 years old, and they had a band called the Magnificent Seven. And when I was there, I was the only white guy in the place, let alone in the band.
Yeah.
But back then, we walked out the door, we could stand outside. I mean, there was no
No
crime
problem.
back then.
Yeah.
And then I got to play with Ike and Tina Turner at the 2+2 Club because they needed a trumpet player, and the sax player knew me, Jim Kerber. Matter of fact, if you watch the Ed Sullivan remakes of all those shows, you see the Ike and Tina Turner band, you'll know it's Jimmy. He's a little short white guy and the only white guy in the band. And he says, but Steve, if you're going to play these gigs, don't look at her and don't talk to him. I said, okay. All I want to do is play Proud Mary,
Yeah, right.
I'm making $10, right? But,
so this is legendary stuff,
No,
right?
it's literally, this is, I was going to say, you remember the first time that you saw like Steve, or you kind of.
It wasn't the first time, but it was a memorable time because like I formed this great friendship with Jin.
Yeah.
And Steve were playing at the what do you call it when you're become a Hall of Famer at the
the induction.
the induction ceremony.
Yes.
It was over at the Sheldon.
Yeah.
And
but you remember that, and like I've heard the name Steve Schankman for years.
But I've heard the name Arnie Levin since I was born.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, and we recently, more recently, have had the chance to connect and work together more. But like, take us back, Steve Schankman, like the Music Man of St. Louis. How do you become that?
Well, I mean, it starts with your grandparents. I mean, my paternal grandfather, Meyer Stone, he was my inspiration.
Yeah.
In fact, I told my dad, get rid of that $20 trumpet and go to a pawn shop and buy him a nicer trumpet.
Yeah.
Which my dad did. And I think Grandpa paid for half of it.
Mm.
So he was my inspiration. Matter of fact, I'll never forget one year when I had Riverport Amphitheater, I was asked from the school board to take the principals of most of the city schools out for a day to teach them what people in the real world, not that that's not real, but what we do. So we started out at my office when I was on Brentwood, and they got to meet different people and so see the marketing side, the ticketing company, the booking side, entertainment, saw the gold records on the wall. But for lunch, I took them all out to Riverport. And I think that night we had the Beach Boys or Chicago, some shows. So they were setting up and all that. But what I'm getting to, there was one question that was asked of me. And I thought it was one of the best questions ever asked to me at any time. I've done 500 lectures and speaking again all over the world and the country. And they asked me this one principal. She says, if there was one person you could bring back for one day, who would it be? Now, usually it's your father. And believe me, my father, he was in Patton's Army, front lines at the Battle of the Bulge, came back with a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. Lucky to have kept his fingers because he had frostbite and ended up in the hospital, then ended up being in the band, which was called Section 8, which I think is funny. But they had 8 guys and they had a Jeep that says Section 8.
I like that.
Anyway, I didn't say my father because I didn't have much relationship with my father. Being a violinist in the symphony, he was always gone. And if he wasn't doing the symphony, he was doing the Muni. He wasn't doing the Muni, he was doing opera theater, or he was playing Russ David's band, who your grandfather played with. So now my mother could have been, but my mother, I loved her to death. She was a great mom. All 411 of her. She raised us all. And I didn't think of her. I thought of my grandpa Stone, Rupstein from Ukraine, from when you used to say Kiev.
Yeah.
And I thought of him because he was the one that really pushed me. When I went to work in East St. Louis at my grandpa's store, when I was 12, I learned a lot. And I mean, I learned a lot about business. I learned a lot about dealing with people. I used to carry groceries to Mrs. Bullock's house. That's Tina Turner's mother, or Jackie Kersey's mother's house. They gave me a quarter. A quarter was a lot of money back when I was 12 years old. So I learned the street. I learned how to be with people of color. I learned how to treat everybody the same. So all this grounding really made music my next step. And now, on the other side, being that my father was a musician, although he never taught me anything about music, he would come to my concerts. But if I was playing something upstairs, he would never compliment me or come up or say anything. about it. It's just, he came back from the war, lucky to be alive with no money. My older brother was already around. He's not around now, but he was 6 years old at the time. So it's just music is in the Schankman family. Peter's a musician. My sister plays the flute. She's in Virginia. None of the brothers except one was a musician, and he was in New York. He was director of Queen's music. But the other two, one was photography, one was a school teacher. But I don't push my daughter. Ryan is at John Burroughs playing the trumpet. Now she started a community school. I didn't tell her to take the trumpet, but she decided to, and she made the honors band the first year.
What's in your blood?
Well, I just like cooking. I think is in yours.
The music's in your blood. The music's in your blood for sure. But is Steve Schankman is he a music man? Is he a businessman?
He's both. What do you mean?
Of course, but I want to know.
Well, no, I want to know so you're not a hungry. You're not a hungry artist. You.
Well, the money's insignificant, but the fact that we book.
And that's what I want to get to.
I mean, Peter's department and Brad, they book like 1,000 engagements a year for mostly bands in St. Louis, probably 80%. And that makes me feel good. Just like during COVID, when we lent every band thousands of dollars to make it, we got the money back.
Yeah.
But I mean, they needed the money then. So
tell us about it.
Well, I'm just lucky to have the money to be able to help.
No, but what was it? What did you do? You lent money to
these bands, so they had a payroll every week during COVID. So that they could, there were no jobs. The jobs stopped. Everything got canceled, postponed, and moved to another year. So, it wasn't all the money they needed, but it was something to help.
So your company produces shows, events, right?
Well, when I sold, you gotta have to go back. 68.
I want to go back to the Riverport days.
Well, let me take you all the way to 68.
Yeah.
So 1968, right? I'm 20 years old. I'm out of high school. I'm at UMSL. I'm booking a few bands. I had 4 or 5 bands. And I had a nice guy working for me that unfortunately had a horrible auto accident, never came back. And I asked my wife at the time, not Katie, what am I going to do? I need another salesman. So I'm working at Walgreens part-time. So I'm filling prescriptions, using a speakerphone to talk to clients about their bar mitzvah reception or their wedding, and what's the special song. Do you want Hava Nagila? Do you want, Mazel Tov? What do you want? Right. Anyway, and so I got fired from that job. So then all I was doing was booking bands. So I'm booking bands. Oh, yeah, he told me, you're never going to amount to anything. Meanwhile, we're going to send you to pharmacy school. And this was at Westroads. It's not there anymore, the Walgreens there. I said, sure, I'll be okay. So anyway, I went off and did what I did. So what was happening is a lot of these bands, we had the biggest band agency in the world. We booked more bands. I mean, there were $500, $400, maybe $150 bands. But we had 11 states. So what I would do is I was a union member when I was like 16. So a musicians union, local 2, 197 now because they merged finally the blacks and the whites together. So anyway, I had the list of bands from every union in 11 states. And we would contact, obviously by mail, these bands and ask them if they wanted to list with the company back then was Continental Entertainment Associates, CEA. Would you like to list with us? We book bands all over the Midwest, so forth and so on. And all we need is you to put give us a 5x7, but this logo has got to go on it. So we'd send them the CEA logo with my name or my partner's name, or we had another guy working there. So we had a listing probably of around 500 bands. I always say 1,100, but it was 11 states and maybe 100 a state. Maybe it's 500 to 700 bands. So for example, you live in Wichita, Kansas, you need a band. I book it out of Kansas City. Yeah. You live in Bird City, Kansas, I probably book a band out of Wichita, Kansas. So we're booking bands almost in their own neighborhoods, but we're making 10%. And what happened was early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, schools like Ladue booked the 4 Tops. John Burroughs booked Rotary Connection. We had a college called Knox College in Illinois, wanted CTA. CTA in 1970 was Chicago Transit Authority.
Can you imagine today?
So I'm looking at these schools making money, and I go to Irv, my Zuckerman, my partner. I said, Irv, we ought to put on our own concerts. So I got some guys, we raised some money, and we went out and did a bunch of shows, and we made money on more than we lost. So we were profitable. So that's what really morphed into the booking agency getting bigger, and then the concert company being its own thing. We had an event company. We did the U2 halftime show right after Super Bowl. You may remember the kabuki curtains with all the names coming down. Some people didn't like that, but most people thought it was really respectful. That was our idea.
Wow.
We did the Pope's appearance in '99 when he came to St. Louis. We did 2 events.
John Paul.
That's right, John Paul. We did the 2 events at the airport, one with Clinton and one with the vice president. We did a huge 110,000 at the Dome. Secret Service says there's no way you're going to get 110,000 people before 7 o'clock. Because everybody's got to go through the mags, got to be detected. And I called the superintendent of schools, and I said, the assistant, Ida Woolfolk, I said, Miss Ida, I said, what's the superintendent doing on a Tuesday, Wednesday in January? She says, as far as I know, he's having school. I said, these kids have a chance to stand in front of their school or on Olive or Lindell and see the Pope Paul II. She says, let me call you back. She calls me back about 10 minutes later, decided to close. I said, who's your bus company? I need buses. I got to transport. Nobody could drive to the Dome or the convention center. I have to transport 110,000 people before 7 o'clock. They were picking people up at Ameristar Casino like at 3 in the morning. I mean, I think it started at 3 and got everybody there by 7. I had a warrant on my wall or somewhere from the Secret Service because I did that.
So I had Secret Service in my apartment.
Oh, yeah,
because
you're close.
I lived on Maryland and Newstead, right by the cathedral. And
right where it was all going down.
Regali, he stayed at Regali's house. So Bishop Regali's
house is right there on the other corner.
Across from there.
And from my back window, you could see Cardinal Regali's house. So I had, Secret Service people taking over. This is how like relevant this is for me, because I remember it like the day of
January of 99.
Yeah.
But listen, for a Jewish boy to meet the Pope is a big thing because it doesn't make any difference. Although this Pope, when I met him, Mark McGuire, who's my wife Katie's cousin, or Katie's cousin's married to him, he was the one that kneels. That's the picture you see all the time. Well, he kissed the ring. I can't do any of that, so I just said shalom, and that's what he said back to me. Well, you may not remember, but Jerzy Kluger from Poland, where he was from, wrote the book about the Pope. Yeah, so we had a lot of times to chat.
John Paul had a very special relationship also with the Jewish community.
Yes, he did.
He was Polish, and it was the memory of the Holocaust was very, very vivid, and he wanted to make sure that the church was, respectful of us, especially
Israel.
given the sort of ambiguity around its role during the Holocaust of maybe turning in side eye. But
I'll never forget it. I mean, I spent 2 days with him. From the time he came off the plane, I walked with him. To the time he went up the steps, I walked with him. Because my job, I had 60 people working on this, not only from St. Louis, but I had offices in New York and California. They all came. I needed so many producers and security.
It was a huge deal. Think about it. The Pope, I saw this Pope twice. This is how crazy this is. 99 in St. Louis.
Right.
In the year 2000, that same Pope came to Israel.
Okay.
For for Y2K, for the second. And I got to see the Pope twice, the same Pope year after year. I mean, so.
Well, I got twice too, but that was 2 different days. But there was a bonus. So, you meet a lot of people. I mean, I worked with 5, 6 presidents. I mean, I've worked with some pretty important entertainers from Frank Sinatra down to, the Beatles, not the Beatles themselves, but the parts of the Beatles, U2. I mean, all the Rolling Stones, who I just saw not far long ago. But Rosa Parks walked into the cathedral on the steps. I got my rabbi at the time was CRC Talvi.
Yeah.
And she introduced me to Rosa Parks.
Wow.
That is a moment.
Wow.
Now, there's no cell phone. I mean, but that's a moment I will never forget because, I mean, how close can I feel to the Pope? I mean, he's in Rome and a different religion, but the religion or the color doesn't make a difference. But what she did, the achievement and the Black history.
So tell us about your Jewishness. Tell us about, I mean, you are a quintessential Jewish American story. And the story about St. Louis relationship, his grandfather came for, the World Fair or ended up here because of the World Fair.
Well, he came here and the World Fair happened to be going on.
Yeah.
1904,
But tell us about your Jewishness. I mean, your identity being Jewish.
Well, we were raised Jewish. My dad was bar mitzvahed. My oldest brother was not. I had no time. I was working when I was 13, and that was more important. Because, if a family of 5 in a 1,000 square foot house, I mean, it was nice, but it was small and 1 bathroom and all of that. And my dad just worked all the time. And it wasn't because he knew he had to provide for 3 kids. And then my brother went off and joined the Navy, and then I left when I was 17 and got married when I was 19. So we went to UH, the old UH, when it was on Skinker, the oldest.
That's where I'm at now. Yeah, the new UH. But
yeah. I mean, Grolman was my rabbi, and then before him was Thurman, and I, then I went to Temple Emmanuel with my first wife Margie, because that's where they belonged.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Rosenblum and I played the shofar.
Right.
That where you are now. I would blow the shofar because, he had one. And I still have it. It smells like
because he had one.
Because but it smells like tobacco because he used to keep his pipes in the same pouch. Whenever I picked this thing up, I was smelling like, Mixture 79 or something else. I don't know. We never speak bad of the dead. So, no, I love Joe. And again, married to a black woman, drove a Cadillac convertible. He was my kind of guy. He was a coincidence. Anyway, now we belong to T.I. because that's kind of where the family belongs. I love Amy, and I love what she does, and I love her talent. I love, I think Robbie Aronson's great, and Robbie's wife.
He's great. He's great.
Wife is great. I'm going to have them help us with this project we were talking about earlier because he knows a lot about the music side. But, my first wife was Jewish, and then Andy, my second wife, was Jewish, and my third wife was raised Catholic. She's also, 3 decades younger than I am. But most people that know Steve Schankman know I have a young wife, so I'm not advertising.
I'm also married to a Catholic girl.
So tell us about your children. How many?
So, one from each first 2 wives. So there's Jason. He's works for Metro Lighting, top sales guy, Metro Lighting. He's 52. I'm so lucky and thankful and blessed that Peter decided to come to work for me. I thought he was going to go to play jazz in New York. He's capable of it.
Yeah,
he could play with a Chick Corea's band.
Yeah, his band did my wedding.
Is that right?
Fat Pocket. I mean,
they're the hottest.
They are the hottest band in town.
Agree.
They're seriously. If somebody sat down and said who's the best all around. Now again, it's different type of music, right? That you guys.
Well, a lot of the same songs, but they do it a lot different.
But man, I'll tell you, there's not a better group that just goes and just delivers exactly what you think they're going to, above and beyond every time that you hear them play.
I did your event. I didn't have time to go see it. Delish, we played. That was my band.
Yeah.
Maxine came up and said hello, Maxine Clark, but I didn't get a chance to say hello. Anyway, so the deal was I could be Jewish and she could be, Catholic, but then she decided Methodist made more sense, so she became a member of the church down the street here on McCausland, in the Gathering, and now she's just finished up being president of the board. And I would go with her, and the kids weren't there yet. But when the kids came, we all would go together. But High Holy Days, we would go, to TI. I was there last year. Sometimes the kids come. We've watched it online before. So I think they identify more on mom's side, but that's what Jewish kids do too.
Yeah. Well,
but they participate.
You said something a little bit ago about like you saw your dad's work ethic, like the work ethic and the Jewish values, and that's what we were kind of talking about was those values. I've seen my dad's work ethic, like never really, not necessarily not having what you want to have or always kind of wanting to work for more in life, but like I think that's kind of what has rubbed off on me as far as the Jewish values. It seems like for you, it's been the same. You then talked about Peter working for the business as well. Like, do you feel like that's a common trend that maybe you see? Well, because Ben has a different story. Ben's was like, what, your parents never wanted you to own a deli or anything like that, right? Or what's the...
No, I mean, I wouldn't say never wanted me to, but, I mean, the story about delis is, I tell people this, I read it somewhere, or I had a conversation with a deli owner in Detroit who told me, that there's a reason why delis were kind of dirty a little bit, and the customer service was pretty bad. It was just good enough because it was immigrants who opened those delis, but they didn't necessarily want those delis to be successful. They wanted to be just good enough because they didn't want their kids to inherit those delis. They wanted their kids to become doctors and lawyers. So they didn't want their business to be so good where their kids were like, I'll stick around and work for dad and mom,
you have Shermans and Pretzels, and you had all these family. Some were with us and some were not.
But when I ask you about like Jewishness, I wasn't necessarily asking you about like religious affiliation, right? Culturally, to me, your story is so Jewish. Like this, the intersections of music in America with jazz and the early days of civil rights and you would always see jazz bands, and if it were mixed, these guys were mostly Jewish.
Yeah.
And so for me,
especially the big bands in St. Louis, you go back to the big orchestras. A lot of them are Jewish.
They're Jewish,
like Arnie. The thing about music, matter of fact, every yearbook they put something, a quip underneath your name. And so when I graduated U City High School, my whole life, by the way, is on Hanley Road. UCD High School, Umsel's off Hanley, and
I went to Umsel too.
Yeah, but I was in almost the first class. Yeah, I mean, I was there in 1966. And I lived in Richmond Heights, so I lived in Hampton Park.
Yeah.
So I mean, my whole life, my office is off of Clayton, off of Ladue. I mean, my whole life is like on one block. I mean, I see these people that travel the world every day, and I mean, I live at home. But my point, my quip, so at UCD High School was, let the music within us never die. And I really believe, you talk to people, cancer patients, music therapy, you talk to people who have psychotic issues, music is the most grounding. You know, you can have your gummies and your marijuana and do whatever you want to do to get
music.
But music is, it's universal language.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I met the guys from the Moscow Circus because I was promoting the circus in St. Louis and a few other cities. And the band couldn't talk a word of English, but I knew what they were looking for. They had DVDs, but they couldn't get a DVD player in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to make that happen for them. And even though all we could say is Miles Davis and Clark Terry and Dizzy Gillespie, because talking music, we couldn't talk, we couldn't communicate. But that was enough to do vodka every night. We had a shot of vodka and we hugged and all that.
Yeah.
So I just really believe that it's the center of the universe. I mean, I'm trying to do that in St. Louis right now. I did the Post-Dispatch does that, Winning St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So he had me on, I don't know, 8 months ago, the editor for the Post. And what I was trying to tell him is that St. Louis has great hospitals, for example. We have great food. We have great architecture. We have great sports teams. I mean, so they're not winning right now, but they're great sports teams. I mean, the Cardinals, 11-time World Series.
Right.
But when I'm over at the cigar club at the Ritz, watching the TV, having a cigar and a drink, and I watch my black friends and people I don't even know, but members, they're watching basketball and football on TV. So keep your St. Louis as a sports town, but it's not a great sports town because we have soccer and we have
we're missing
hockey,
a lot.
But we have soccer and hockey and baseball, and you look at how many people of color go to those other. Again, I love Chris Zimmerman. He runs the hockey team.
Yeah.
I love the DeWitts. I love everything about the sport, so don't take it wrong. But now let's talk music for just 1 minute. Who came from St. Louis? Let's see, the queen of R&B, Tina Turner, Ike Turner, although he beat her up a lot, supposedly. Chuck Berry, the king of rock and roll. So they got the king, and you almost have the queen, but she's still
Duke Ellington.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that.
Didn't Duke
Louis Hartwell.
No. The Louis from
Duke Ellington came from
I'd
St.
have to
Louis.
look that up. But
Look it up.
But for sure, who did come from St. Louis is the guy that wrote the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
All right, Handy. He came from St. Louis. But think about not just black musicians, but David Sanborn, Kirkwood. I mean, he came from here. So you go down the list of great musicians. Now you got the Nellies and so forth. If you want to get into comedy, you got not only Nikki Glaser, but you got Phyllis Diller. Yeah. You got Vincent Price. We're really an entertainment town.
And we have a great symphony.
He's not from here, but he's got a strong connection here.
Yeah.
What is this connection? Anyway, St. Louis Blues.
Bubber Miley.
Well, he played Casa Loma Ballroom where I'm playing coming up.
Yeah.
So
no, I always thought that same
Legends.
point.
Legends. Nashville's got nothing on us. Austin, Texas got nothing on us. Nashville's got country.
They have completely
made their city
a brand around music, and St. Louis hasn't.
But if you make it around music, you know what falls under that? What you do.
Yeah, entertainment,
tourism,
hospitality,
entertainment, hospitality. So I'm meeting with Brad Dean. He's our new head of Explore St. Louis. I just had the pleasure of meeting Ron Kitchens, who's the new head of Greater St. Louis, who's from Kansas. So, and his wife actually went to UCDI. She graduated many years after me, just in case he listens to the podcast many years. But we have some new blood. We have Kara Spencer. She came to Evolution this year. Yeah. Although Tashar was at Evolution a couple years ago. But Kara was there when we presented a big check to United Way for $100,000 for the relief from May 16th, which you guys were devastated. I drove down to the next day. You guys got hit bad.
Yeah.
Hopefully insurance has helped, but I'm sure not enough. So my point is this. I'm a music man. I don't mind when people say, hey, the music man. You know, matter of fact, I never forget Katie said, you know, I love you. I want to marry you. But why are you playing these weddings and parties all the time? I said, wait around a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you'll know. We're sitting in the Cheesecake Factory, owned, you know, the Zerenskis owned, you know, Galleria, another good Jewish family. I just talked to Mark on the phone. I was on my way here. I said, Katie, you'll find it. We're sitting in the Cheesecake Factory, and a woman comes up, maybe 30, 31, carriage, maybe a 12, 6 to 8 month old baby. They don't say years. It's always, my baby is 19 months old. Okay. Can you just say 2 years? Round it up.
Yeah.
I mean, because I have twins. So
Yeah.
are they twin? If it's a boy and a girl, are they identical? Yeah, right. I mean, fraternal. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy when you have twins, the questions you get asked. Anyway, this nice young lady says, I'm sorry to bother you while you're having lunch, Mr. Shank, but I just wanted to tell you, though, my wedding you did a year ago at the Coronado was over the top. The way you handled everything and the dances and the special dances.
Oh, it's the most rewarding, right?
Yeah.
You play a role in people's lives.
But I'm saying, as she left, Katie looked at me and said, now I know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, I can relate to this.
But you do the same thing.
I can relate to this.
When you make a nice meal for somebody for a special occasion.
Because I still schlep and do caterings and private parties and
Things that you don't have to do.
things that I don't have to do. And, occasionally Angela will say, what's the point? Like, can't you just spend a Saturday with us or whatever? But then it's the same thing when people come up to you and says, hey, not only did you do my bar mitzvah, the food for my bar mitzvah, now you did the food for my wedding, and we want you to do the food for our child's bris or something. Yeah. So there is something.
That's easy. Bagels and lox.
You're not a doctor. You're not doctors. You're not saving lives, but you're making lives what they are.
Well, I think we add value to people, but that's not why. The reason I do it is because it adds value to my life. Yeah. Not to be, I want to be humble, especially the time of gratitude because of Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah. I want to be humble, but I'm 77 years old. I have kids that are 12 and 12.
You look so young.
Well, I don't know about
You have to keep young.
Well, you look young too, because the beard hides it all. I can't hide anything.
So how old are you?
Well, the girls are 12, the twins,
yes.
The girls, and then Gabe just turned 4, but he's like 4 going on 20.
I love it.
He wants to talk about everything. You have to meet my kids because we live so close, yet we're never together. With one time we've been together.
That's right.
And maybe at the restaurant, Bill and I came down and had a sandwich once.
Yeah.
But I really think that what's important is to take this city and change it because the narrative is horrible.
Amen.
And all we want to do is talk. Well, St. Louis is that way anyway. I've lived here all my life. Oh, let's see. It's going to rain on Friday. Oh, there's a prediction of a snow shower at 2 p.m. How are we going to go out to 6 o'clock to Ben's restaurant? We have to drive down to Del Mar.
True story.
Yeah, I mean, we can't go out on a Friday night now or Saturday night.
So that's what happens.
You get it all the time.
That's the mentality. Like yesterday, the 2 days, the snow, canceled. We had 2 meetings canceled. Can't meet you for lunch. Wait a second. It's like this in Chicago and New York every day. I mean, what do you think they do? I mean, it's just the mentality. We have to change it. St. Louis has great restaurants, 5-star restaurants. They have great restaurateurs. I mean, I don't need Ramsey to come to town.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, Gordon Ramsay. First of all, he's downtown. Okay, he's at the Four Seasons. I mean, so
he's been here once, so obviously it's a licensing fee.
We know.
We know.
Or the restaurant before that, they want to give you South American food. Now he's a great chef. He's a great, I'm talking about Pastaria and all those great restaurants.
Good friend.
But I don't eat that South American food. I don't know how many people did.
Yeah, people do. I mean, he did a nice
you're
job.
a niche, and you're in a smaller environment, in a hotel when you have people coming in from St. Louis. What you want to do is teach them our brand, which happens to be T-bone steaks and sirloin steaks and pasta.
For me,
and
the
ravioli.
big thing is embracing a little bit of. So we're at a point where we have kind of bad stigma as a city, crime and this and that, whatever. But I'm like, let's embrace some of those gritty elements.
Yeah.
Come down to Del Mar. We'll show you grit. We'll show you what a tornado did to the city.
Right.
We'll show you the divide. We'll take you to, there is something that I think could be marketable. At this point, we're saying, so what?
But we can't do it on our own.
But we can do it.
Once we get them here. Like the convention center already came out. We have a lack of conventions next year.
Yeah.
So we're going to really steer our mind on tourism. And I just went to a brain session with the tourism, with Explore St. Louis. And everybody said, 40, 50 people in the room, we have to have
I stood that up. I was
brand.
supposed to be there.
Well, and should have. But the brand, we're not 630 feet high in the arch. I mean, I know the arch is in every movie that's in, and sometimes like Trains, Planes, and Automobiles, they show them going to St. Louis,
change the name.
and they're on their way to Chicago.
St. Louis?
Yeah.
Well, we can't change the name.
What would you change it
Meet
to?
me in
I
St.
don't know.
Louis.
My thing is when, rebranding is it will be the talk of the world that the city decides to change its name because it's associated.
It would be.
It had a name.
Yeah.
People get a divorce and get a new name, and they're still. So what? Rebrand the name. Have a huge elections.
The gateway city.
But
Gateway City. I talked about Confluence. I said, let's name it after Dred Scott, Missouri. There is value in this exercise. In this,
We can't even merge the county and the city.
I've been talking about changing the name of the city.
But
big ideas.
The rebrand.
But if you talk to
ideas.
people, like we live in California a little bit every year. When you talk to people there, they like St. Louis because they don't know about all the crime. They like the heritage of St. Louis. I mean, we're the capital of shoes, Edison Brothers and Brown.
That's right.
We were the capital of hides and tannings, and the capital of all these other things.
Yes.
But we don't talk about it. We want to talk about the World's Fair 100-something years ago. Nobody cares except me because my grandpa was there.
Yeah.
But I'm saying we need to accentuate the positive. We got to get density downtown. Now, some things are going on. You have Mansion House, thanks to Steve Smith. He's redoing that. Lawrence Group, Steve.
Yeah.
He owns, the Foundry, which is doing fabulous.
Yeah.
We have, obviously, the ballpark people, Cardish doing the old hotel that sat forever. But we need density. Young people were moving to Washington Avenue too. It got bad. And look what happens when it got bad. All the restaurants left. I mean, you still got Sugar Fire, but
we had
vacant buildings.
A little bit of that was a little bit of an issue with Ballpark Village too, because again, it wasn't. When you do development, you have to do it with the community. Nobody asked anybody in Washington what Ballpark Village is going to do to their businesses, it hurt them.
No doubt,
it hurt them. So that's
but the crime hurt too.
Of course, it's all part of the same thing, but it's about changing attitudes and changing willingness.
Like I came down to your restaurant with the Millers. We sat outside. I heard a couple of sirens. I didn't hear any gunshots, but the food was so good, right?
And the ambience is good.
The ambience was great, and the service was great. So everything about it was great. We're basically sitting on the street, looking at the factory. What's it called? The glass factory across the street. And I mean, we felt safe. I go to Chicago. I go to restaurants on Canal Street.
Yeah,
Rush
of course.
Street.
Why wouldn't you?
Well, there's crime.
Yeah,
South Chicago, they shoot six. Ask Trump, they shoot 6 people a week. I mean, we all have crime. Okay, crime
it exists.
But when there's people, when we fill up the apartments and the condos, and people take a chance again on. I mean, everybody moved to Clayton. My office is in Clayton, but I wasn't in the city. I was always in Brentwood, Clayton, Creve Coeur. But I see all these companies coming to Clayton.
So, one of my favorite things was when I opened the deli, Steve and Bill and a bunch of other guys came in and sat down at the deli, a bunch of Jewish guys, and they're just arguing and talking and laughing and eating sandwiches. And to me, this is the reason I opened the deli. And this was the first time and the last time they were there. So
no, that's not true. I've been back a couple more times.
Okay, but we need to get you and that group of men.
Yeah. Well, that's what Pumpernickel's had, and the food wasn't even close to the same.
Yeah.
That's what Sherman's had, and Sherman's had good food, and so did the other one on Clayton Road. I forget the name of it. There was another good deli. Lester tried to take over that Howard Johnson's, Layton's on Clayton Road. That's where he was going to do a deli, and it didn't work out. I didn't realize. Yeah. But, location is a little different.
Yeah, of course, no doubt.
But you took a chance, and you're right. More people should support it because I go for convenience.
By the way, we started this thing, the Jews in the Lou, to promote Ben's Deli.
Essentially.
Right.
So, what else we got? This was so entertaining.
I don't want to take. I mean, he could talk all day.
Well, I'm off on Wednesday, so you have me all day. I went to the office in the morning. I said I'm going to have a lunch, and then I'm going to come over here.
Give us some memorable shows. I was going to say something that went.
Well, I could name the Guns N' Roses, right? Or the
Guns N'
AC/DC
Roses
or
is bittersweet. It was obviously bitter from the standpoint of being open for 2 weeks.
It was that soon.
We opened up the 14th of June with Steve Winwood. And Robert Cray was, everybody always said, who was the first act to ever play Riverport? And everybody says Steve Winwood, but Robert Cray played before him, right? The opening act, ha, ha, ha. And then the night before that, the Motown Review played. Because we had a big party to celebrate the opening and all the people that built it and all that. About 2.5 weeks later, we have Guns N' Roses. Now, I knew when we booked it, or Irv booked it, that Guns N' Roses Axl had problems.
You know about this?
No, I don't know
about
it.
It's on YouTube.
Oh, okay. You don't know about this?
No.
This is unbelievable.
It's on YouTube. Anyway, I mean, he had some issues late on stage, this, that, and the other. So I made sure we were down at the lake at the time. We had a place at the lake, and I came back early. I got dropped off. My wife dropped me off. And I was there, and I went to the security meeting. I said, is there anything, I knew the manager Goldstein, nice Jewish boy. So I said I said, what are we looking at really here? He may come on stage late. There's nothing we can do about that, but there's not going to be any problems. Okay. So I'm up walking around. I have a golf cart when I want to go all the way around, but I'm just in the audience. I walk right down to the stage. Now, the problem with the stage is there's the stage at Riverport, but he had a thrust, which meant it went out like this. So he could get over on top of the chairs of the fifth row.
Default?
No,
crazier, dude.
Yeah. So anyway,
Crazier.
He's doing one of my favorites because I actually like their music. You know, Welcome to the Jungle. He was doing Live and Let Die. You know, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And I go as close as I can get to him on stage with his bandana and his no shirt or whatever he had on, the underpants, whatever he was wearing. Although the girls do this now too on stage, but the boys were doing it back then, the hard rockers. And I salute him. Now he's never met me, but I wanted to remember that somebody is old because I was older then too. Obviously, you know, he was a young guy in his 20s. I salute him. His name is William Bailey. So anyway, I go back to the box office. The show is about to end. I'm getting ready to pay the road manager. You know, it's a check. And I hear on my, Cindy Schrader is my funhouse manager. I can hear on her, because I don't have my walkie-talkie at that point. She's got, Axel's left the stage. I'm looking, well, he's supposed to play like another 15, 20 minutes. So I get on the radio, I call Robin Tate. Robin Tate is my production manager. Rob, what's going on? He says, I don't know. He got pissed off. He jumped into the audience. He got up on stage. And he said, because of the effing security, I'm out of here. And he breaks the mic on the floor, on the ground. I said, well, keep me appraised. Meanwhile, I take the check and I put it back in my pocket. You know, and I know the accountant pretty well. He knew I did what I did. So I want to leave. So the cop that's the security for the box office watching, you know, the money and all that. And the box office, by the way, I just found this out a few years ago, was totally bulletproof. All the windows, even the office windows. I didn't know that at the time. I was scared. He says, you're not, Mr. Schankman, you can't leave. Because he got a report that they're called the Code 1000. Code 1000 has never been called in St. Louis. That means any police officer that has their radio on, I don't care if you're in bed, you're in your car, you're having a coffee and a donut, you come here. 450 cops.
A week after they've been open?
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks.
Yeah, but you know, 5 shows.
Because of people were going to go a riot.
Okay, so what was happening, which I didn't know until afterwards because they wouldn't let me leave.
This is what, 90s?
91, July 2nd.
Dude, he was banned from St. Louis. You'll probably get to that
That's
point.
another story. That'd take another whole session, the whole story about Axl Rose. But it's bittersweet. The bitter was they wrecked the theater, but a lot of things were easy. Like the chairs, they'd just been put into the concrete. So they were able to push them back and forth to the point they could break them, and they were throwing them up on stage. Okay, the band is gone now. The band has left the stage, and they're not coming back. But somebody says on their microphone, if everybody calms down, we'll be back. He was already in his car on his way back to the Ritz where he was staying. Badmouth and me and my company on KC Radio. Oh, the promoter just opened 2.5 weeks ago. He doesn't know anything. Wait a second. I opened up in 1968, and this is 91. The same security company's working this show that worked for me for the last 20 years. I don't think you're right about this, Mr. Rose or Mr. Bailey. Anyway, what had happened, that the story that's told, and you can watch this on not on YouTube, but I've done two different TV shows that have had it. He thought he saw, the story is a biker, because he had the things on, moved up from the back row. All, people were like, surfing him over to get up close so he could take an Instamatic picture of him. So what he was saying when you hear it on the TV or on the internet, get that, I'll get that. He wanted somebody from security to go into the middle of a row to take a camera away. I mean, it's like going on the Hill with a cop and try to get the marijuana before it was legal. I mean, you're really going to go up there and do that with 13,000 people. Anyway, so he did leave. So he jumped off. He dived off, took his hat off, dives off. You got to just look on YouTube.
Axl Rose.
And he slaps one of my security guys on the side of the face. He slaps this guy who we found out his name is Stump. He's about 5 foot tall, maybe less, on the face. Gets help up onto the stage and says, because of the effing security, I'm out of here. And that was the story that was told. I can't tell you the real story on air because I'm restricted from talking about it to the public, but I will tell you. Anyway, so that was the bitter. 60 people got hurt, no deaths. The cops never pulled a gun. 450 police officers, when they got there in helicopter, were pushing everybody out the door.
Wow.
Now, that's after they took a couple of amps off the stage, so they had the bass drum, but they pulled down my screens, brand new screens.
So pretty serious damages.
Well, 350,000. They pulled up all the plants because they just have been put in the sod, and it would look like a riot. look like, unfortunately, what you have down.
Yeah. So when was the next show after that? How long did it take to?
Well, we were able to put together to have Ted Nugent, who said on USA Today, "Bring your camera." and instead of at the end of the show, he's an outdoorsman. Instead of shooting his arrow at what was usually Osama bin Laden, that time he was shooting the arrow at Axl Rose.
Yeah.
Anyway, the sweetness is somebody asked me once, "What's the most money ever made in one night?" That would be July 2nd, 1991.
Is that right?
Concessions, parking, sponsors,
Really?
tickets. Didn't pay him. Sued him for 7 figures. Got the money. So anyway, but it took me a long time to feel good about what had happened. I mean, because the lawsuit, that took years to get done. Anyway, somebody asked me when he was coming back to St. Louis. You're right. What happened with him and the county prosecutor was he told him in the elevator when they did arrest him, "You're never going to hold me one night." And he spent the night in jail.
Really?
They extricated him from New York. But yeah, he came back to St. Louis. I think it was in July. And somebody
He came back to spend a night in jail?
No, he came back that was after he was arrested.
Oh.
His mugshot's on the internet. No, he came back to play. And I was interviewed that day. They said, "Are you going to go see Guns N' Roses?" I said, "Well, they're one of my favorite bands. But the only way I'm going to go is if Axl, or I call him Bill Bailey. It's like calling Nelly. I mean,
Yeah.
Carnell's, I always call him Carnell. He said, if I get a call from Axl to come, I'll be there. Because it's over with. I've talked to Slash. I mean, Slash walked off the stage putting up one of his fingers like the guy from Dallas. I mean, you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And that's how he walked off the stage, And that was the whole thing. When Axl was in the deposition, he had a T-shirt on, said IF something, St. Louis.
Yeah.
Yeah, not I love St.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's okay. He lost a lot of
Okay, well,
money.
so that was very memorable.
Yeah. Well, but the ones that are really memorable for other reasons. I
Yeah.
did Frank Sinatra's second to last concert. He played St. Louis. I did it as a charity for Children's Hospital. He sang for an hour. Barbara didn't come in, his wife, but Nancy was there. And Frank Jr. is also deceased, unfortunately, conducted.
Yeah.
I mean, that was memorable because the last night was in Chicago, so second to last day. Doing U2 at Graham Chapel for 900 people back 1981. I have the contract on my wall. If you ever come by the office.
Unbelievable.
$750.
Favorite musician you've ever worked with?
Favorite? Well, one of my favorites is my friend Billy Joel because I go all the way back to the first record. And I have a contract with him for $1,250. And when he played Enterprise not too long ago, I brought the contract as a gift for him.
Wow.
And everybody in the band, "Did you see how much Billy played?"
That's my favorite. So my wife is hard of hearing deaf.
Yes.
And Billy Joel was the first artist she's ever heard. And this is continued to be her favorite one. She had gotten new hearing aids and she was sitting in the back of the car. This was in middle school. And all of a sudden, she heard this music because of the new hearing aid. And it was Billy Joel. And ever since,
sweet.
Billy Joel is her number one
That's
favorite
amazing.
artist. So we would have to do something about that. It would be
Yeah.
their birthday today. Happy birthday, Angela.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Oh, great. Well,
So-
we did the face-to-face with Elton John, 2 different personalities
Yeah.
there. So, but favorite is, I managed Maynard Ferguson. Now, most people
Sure.
won't know who he is, but you're a trumpet
Yeah,
player.
of course.
Greatest high note trumpet player to ever live. I was his manager. Never thought that would happen.
Ever been starstruck? I mean, what, like,
Well, here's what starts.
good question.
Yeah, it's a great question. Not asked it very often. Starstruck to me was sitting in Crown Center in the presidential suite because as a promoter of all the shows up there too, I did the Stones and everybody up there at an amphitheater up there and all this stuff. But sitting up there waiting to a show to get over called The Odd Couple, and who shows up knocking on my door but Beaver Cleaver. So Jerry Mathers came to have a cigar with me. Back then you could smoke in the suites.
Yeah.
With me. Now, we grew up together. I mean, we're the same exact age almost. I think I'm a half year older than him. I mean, that's an idol. Or bringing the Lone Ranger, Creve Coeur days. I picked him up at the airport. He had his hat in the box and he wasn't wearing a mask. He had the big sunglasses.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let him wear the mask.
Right.
And I mean, here I am with the Lone Ranger Clayton Moore, or other actors, and like Jay Leno. I've been friends with Jay since he was a stand-up back in the early days. Played the Westport, and I mean Jay and I have been very, very close friends ever since. So I'm more of a TV movie. I got to meet Kirk Douglas once. Kirk Douglas, the Young Man with the Horn, which is really about Bix Beiderbecke.
Yeah.
And I got to meet him. We were playing for the president of Federal Express's wife's birthday at the big hotel in Memphis. I don't think what the name of it is. Anyway, where they have the
Hermitage?
birds.
The Hermitage?
Not there. No, the old one, the Peabody.
Peabody.
And we go to breakfast. Me and
Right
Mark.
by the Opry.
Not far from there.
Yeah.
No, Opryland's. No, that's farther.
What's
that's
that?
Nashville.
What's that? That's a Gaylord.
No, you're
Memphis.
This is
Oh,
real,
Nashville. No, I was. Yeah,
in Memphis. You have where they have all the barbecue
Yeah.
places,
Yeah.
and it's real close to that. Anyway, my
Arthur Bryant. Yeah.
yeah, we're sitting there, and there's Kirk Douglas. I had to go tell him. I have the poster somebody gave me as a present of the show, the movie when I was playing the movie theater. Young Man with the Horn, with Lauren Bacall, and it's a great story because he falls in love with a rich woman. Yet the singer in the band was the one he should have. It's an old movie. So I'm more, like sports guys even. Like, Sam Bradford lived at the Plaza. I mean, he was the quarterback, young guy. I was kind of a second dad, borrowed my car. We didn't have one, or it was 6, 8, or 9 or whatever. I took him to restaurants to eat. I think we may have gone to Olio.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Pastaria, and I took him to Nish one time. He says, "Where are we eating?" I said, "No, this is what they serve. It's small plates. It's small plates. We got to go get some food." I said, "Okay." He's a quarterback. So, yeah, it's more, like Bernadette Peters. Now, who would think that I would name her? But we were on a trip doing 3 dates for, I think it was Volkswagen. We were in Scottsdale. So every 3 days she had to sing, and I had the orchestra and the whole deal. And Andy, my second wife, my wife I talked to all the time, ex-wife I talked to all the time, Peter's mom, and I got pregnant on that trip. So I call her and I say, we want to have a baby, and it looks like we're going to have a baby. Not looks like, we're going to have a baby.
Yeah.
And if it's a boy, I think I'm going to name him Peter after you.
Ah.
Yeah. Now, if it's a girl, I didn't tell her anything. I don't know about Bernadette. But I mean, she's coming in June. I don't care what I'm doing that night. I will be at the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I've done Mancini, and I've done, Johnny Mathis, and I've worked with these guys as the orchestra and the band leader. So
the business probably must have changed. I mean, you're talking about picking up artists from the airport and bringing them to the show.
You're doing that yourself.
Back then, I'd pick up Harry Chapin and take him back every time.
And so
Or
now
Jay
there
Leno,
is so much. I'm just
there's
imagining entourages,
much
and,
more security.
People aren't as simple as they. Well, they've done. Some of them weren't simple. Back
and
then,
everybody's
but-
got a private plane these days.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is for them the easiest way, except in the summertime.
Yeah.
Most of the bands, Jimmy Buffett had his own plane, so he'd fly. But at Riverport, most of the bands come in on buses. I mean, not the Rolling Stones, but most of the bands.
Still?
Yeah, they come on bus. It's too easy to leave, go back to the hotel, take a shower, get on the bus, and just drive to 300 miles.
To the next place.
Yeah, I mean, these are fit-up buses, though. I mean,
I got a
checked
couple
out.
craziest rider that you've ever encountered,
Yeah, good one.
and I would say most ridiculous thing that you've seen occur backstage at a show.
Well, some of those.
And you
will
don't
be
have to
offline.
name who it
Some of
is.
it have to be offline on the ridiculous, but on the riders. So there's always the big deal about the red and green M&Ms, red and green, whatever. And that was just to make sure, Van Halen, that you read the rider.
You know what the rider is?
The rider's
okay.
attached to the
Yeah.
contract. It's the 34 pages from production to what are you going to eat.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, well, these artists, they really are finicky. I mean, they want
Yeah,
ribs
they
on
want
Saturday
this,
night.
they want that.
Well, they don't want ribs on Friday night. They want chicken on Friday, fish on Thursday.
Yeah.
They want different food. They're not asking for Dom Perignon. Well, Joe Cocker did 2 cases of Dom Perignon. Yeah, he didn't even, all he drank was whiskey. But his manager from England wanted the Perignon. So it's funny because another act, Yes, wanted organic fruit. And this is in 1973. There's no organic fruit, but we had a little rubber stamper, so I just put organic on. I went to Schnucks. I tried to do it with the champagne, but they wouldn't send me just the labels. So I tried. We wrote them for the labels. But, I mean, Yes won a quiche Lorraine. I had an Aunt Lorraine. But, I mean, you're looking at a 25-year-old Jewish kid that grew up in New City, and he's got a band from England that runs quiche Lorraine. Right. But there was a place that made it down on the West End. What was the name of it? It was a health food store, restaurant. It was there for years, and that's where we got all that kind of stuff. Although for U2, I went by Pratzel's, and truthfully, I got a deli tray, and that's what the Bono ate backstage at the.
That's amazing.
at Graham Chapel. So, so what's wrong that Cher wants a new toilet still in the box? Because she's going to be backstage in the green room. She wants to go to the bathroom. She'd like to know that a brand new seat was put on there. I mean, is that a big deal? I mean, to me, that's not a big
Cher.
deal.
You go by one name, you know.
Yeah. Well, that was funny, too, because Cher was in town the same night. I had the Allman Brothers down to the Opera House. She was at the old Checker Dome. I was not telling her or telling him that they both were in town. They were going through the divorce. And they were at different hotels. So I don't want them to know that they're... The things that happen backstage. So for the Jewish Federation, they said, Steve, come up with some ideas. So I went to Dave Stewart, and he was very gracious to give us some money, Worldwide Technology, the founder. And that was because Bill Miller was in charge of the Federation at that time, raising the money.
Yeah.
And I said, why don't we do a night of 1,000 laughs? I was booking the Two Hill which is a great theater.
Great theater.
Out at UMSL or Alma Mater. And I was booking that. And I said, well, why don't we go to the Two Hill and I can get David Brenner and Robert Klein to work on a show. They do their own.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do that. Out of 1,000 lives, so we got to sell 1,200 tickets, sell some upgrade tickets. We have some food, whatever. Anyway, Klein was late. So Brenner went on first. Brenner was supposed to close, but Klein purposely maybe was late. So Brenner goes on. When Brenner walks off stage, they almost get into a fist fight. I mean, to the point that two different people had to take them to their own place.
Seriously?
Well, according to Klein, Brenner used one of his jokes. Now, he wouldn't have known that if he'd opened the show because he would have left. So the fact that Brenner went on first and Klein was listening, he says, and you steal Rodney Dangerfield stuff all the time. Anyway, we had the Bank of America sponsor. We had the head of the Federation. We're all backstage a nice, calm Sunday night. We had a beautiful time. And these guys are pushing each other. So I said to my partner, Jeff Jarrett, I said, you take Robert Klein, I'll take Brenner. They were staying at the same hotel, but I can't do anything once they get to the Frontenac because the Jewish hotel owner. So, but the writers got some crazy stuff. And some, so the red carpet when we did the dance guy, what was his name? The Irish dance guy. We did him at Riverport, and he wanted a red carpet. What do you think about the song of the dance, the dance guy, Irish guy? Oh, you know exactly who it is. I just can't think of his name. Anyway, a red carpet. Well, that's because he's a dancer and he doesn't want to walk on a hard concrete with his shoes on because they always wear the dancing shoes, which have no arch. I mean, it's like, it's not a big deal. I did Pavarotti. So what did he ask for? He wanted a certain wine, he wanted a certain this, and he wanted 2 massage tables. Well, he had to have that because in order to give him a massage, we need 2 tables. Not length, but width. But I mean, it's not big. It's not big stuff. Listen, it's a cost of doing business.
Is there something you ask of all these famous artists, like an autograph on something? Do you collect?
Yes. Not for me. So, for example, Riverport. When we opened Riverport, I had these big boards made. Riverport, 1991, 92, 93. And I have a set of them in my basement. All the acts would sign them. Naturally, you get the guy out there who wants to put some, act that's not around anymore, silly stuff. But you'll see Sammy Hagar and U2, the acts that play there. And I don't think U2 ever played it, but the acts like that. But a lot of times we would do, matter of fact, I think every year, an auction at the pageant. Because I used to be partners with Joe when we did the pageant in 2000.
Oh, I didn't realize
I was 50% of that deal.
Oh.
And signed on the loan, the whole deal. But, well, it was real simple. Hollywood was already here, right? Planet Hollywood. And so was Hard Rock. What's coming next? House of Blues. So Pat Hagen had Mississippi Nights. Joe had, Del Mar Hall had, like the Duck Room, which was small. I had the Westport Theater and the pageant and the old one, the American Theater.
Mm-hmm.
So we had all these little venues, but if House of Blues comes, it's going to be big.
Yeah.
So we decided to build, and he called it was his name, the pageant, because that's where where the pageant was. Pageant's on the way to your places, down Del Mar, past the Bolivar. And we built the pageant. And we would do an auction every year. So I have bands backstage sign guitars, not necessarily their guitar. We'd buy a guitar, they'd sign it. Sometimes it was theirs. Drumsticks, drum heads, books if they wrote a book, and we'd auction off and get the money to usually some sort of a homeless or some agency that needed the money. But that's, giving is what's more important to me than making money. I mean, making money is something, if you're smart, you're going to make money. I always say a skeptic is smarter than an optimist, but an optimist makes more money.
Yeah.
And I would say that to you because you're very optimistic, because you could have opened that deli in Creve Coeur and you'd have exactly what you want. All the Jewish guys hanging out, you get every Shiva house, you get it all.
Yeah.
Because you would be so seen, but because you're an optimist, you'll make more money eventually.
Eventually.
Well, the other thing I always tell people about me, because people say, tell me something about you. I always say, I'm too old to live somebody else's dream. So I live the dream life. I mean, I have a young family, my friends like Billy Miller. Steve, you got to be nuts. I'd rather shoot myself, because Billy's, he's got grandkids now, but his kids are all grown up. It's just that, I believe in the saying that, keep your eyes on the stars and your feet on the ground. So music does that, and my brain says, keep going for something.
It's funny because just this week I was talking to my friend, another great St. Louis Jewish personality, Scott Rosenblum, and I told him exactly that. I said that my grandmother had an amazing advice for me. She said, keep your feet on the ground, but your head in the sky.
Well, we've copied. Somebody else had that before us.
Exactly.
Yeah, somebody else said.
It's funny you should say that.
But that's why people say, "So are you down on St. Louis because of what's going on?" I say, "Absolutely not. We're going to recover from the tornado." I took Evolution Festival, which makes no money, and I guaranteed the first $100,000 of contributions, which we gave away the second night with Michelle Tucker from United Way, the mayor Kara Spencer, and Brian Williams, who's running for county executive. Great guy, senator, U City guy.
Yeah.
I hope he does well. I mean, whether he wins or not, it's just that kind. And we gave away that money, but I mean, we thought right away after that. And I went down the next day, not only to see the park where we do the festival, which all the big trees were hit, including our willow tree, which we used to light up. That was kind of our logo. And then I went down Delmar, and I mean, I had a hard time making a turn to get out of there. And I said, we got to do something. And that's what's so important is people in St. Louis talk the talk, but they don't always walk the walk. And I say that to big corporations. We lost Mike Neidorf. Michael had Centene. Centene was give, give, give. They bought the Variety Club between Dave Stewart and the Variety Club, is for kids with special needs. And I served for 19 years as chairman of the telethon, which was how we raised our money. And without Dave Stewart and Michael Neidorf as a combo, they would have to pay for everything. Instead, they came in, and all of a sudden we have Harry Connick Jr. We have big acts because we could afford that. I drew more people, but we have less companies than we had growing up. I mean, we used to have Monsanto. Now we have Bayer. Anheuser-Busch is not owned by anybody here in St. Louis. Build-A-Bear's got a new president, but she's doing what Maxine would have done: grow the company. And we have some great. I mean, enterprise. I mean, we're lucky to have what we have, but we should have more. But when I hear that the president of Arby's and Carl's Jr., who went to law school, WashU, contacted the state of Missouri, this is years ago, and never got a phone call back and decided to go to Nashville instead. I mean, we got to be proactive. And it's all in the politics. I mean, politics plays a role, but it doesn't bring you business.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care what Trump says about we're going to build the infrastructure. He won't be alive when these things get built. I mean, I want build in this country. I want to be in control of everything, but it takes time.
Yeah.
But again, and I'm not saying I'm for or against Trump either, but again, you have to be forward thinking. Forward thinking is the only way to get somewhere. And that's why you did the whole thing with Maxine.
Yeah.
That's a forward thinking. Maybe it hasn't had the effect today, but I think over time, I lived on Hamilton and Plymouth.
Yeah.
I live where your place almost is.
Yeah.
I grew up there. I love the neighborhood. I still go down to the neighborhood. There's no fear to go to your restaurants.
No.
The only fear is inside yourself.
Yeah.
And people get shot at front of Schnucks and Walgreens and Ladue Road and Clayton Road and Maplewood. So the fact that there's some crime in St. Louis is not different.
No.
And Bob Tracy, the new chief, I think I was just with him at Guns N' Roses, Guns N' Hoses, Guns N' Hoses. And our new mayor was there. She's getting out. She's seeing people. She sees where problems when we had the big snow. Unlike the former mayor, she got out there right away.
Right.
Let's get this done. She's part of the fabric of the community. I see that with having if we get a new county executive, if Brian Williams wins, I see a whole new set of circumstances to get St. Louis going. 250 next year, birthday party for America.
Yeah.
Jeff Fox is leading the charge. You should interview him sometime. Great Jewish family.
Yeah.
But he's leading the charge for Celebrate St. Louis. I'm on the board. And that's part of the reason that I put a pause on Evolution next year. We're all going after the same sponsors. I don't care if you're the World Cup in Kansas City. I don't care if you're going after Coca-Cola or Worldwide or Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
And the same thing's going to happen in St. Louis. There'll be some games, I hope, here. So we paused for a year to allow Celebrate St. Louis, which I produced for 25 years. Elton John, when he was in the police uniform, that was a backstage story. We dressed him up as a cop. That's online, too. That's in the book. Or we brought Roy Nelson in as a park ranger because he had a big
Which
beard.
book?
My book.
You published a book.
I did. Yeah.
We might have to have him on for another episode.
We need to have you another episode about the book. I was gonna say, when is the book?
I'm not
coming out?
stopping you, but it is 3. Yeah.
When is the book coming out? And
The
you're
book
telling me
came
there's
out.
a book.
Yeah. The book
When did the book come out?
The book came out in 60, 70, 88, 90, 2008. It's
Wow.
it's out of print. It's on Amazon.
That's almost 20 years ago. We need
Yeah.
a
20th anniversary.
We need a 20th anniversary.
No, because I was telling you earlier, Alex, that I did 50 stories in 50 years.
Yeah.
And that's an iPod or an, what do you call this?
Oh,
Podcast.
Yeah,
Podcast?
full audio podcast.
Yeah, but 3 video too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was 3 minutes. It's called Backstage Ticket. It's online.
Did you bring us some books?
My books. I was
I'm
telling
going
you.
to. This is.
I'll get you a book.
You get me a book.
Yeah, I'll trade you for a lunch.
There you go.
Anyway, it's out of print, so I have very few copies left. I'll go on Amazon sometimes. They're like $60, and I'll buy it because I want to see who I autographed it to. 2/3 of the books I autographed.
Is that right?
Well, I did it for the employees. I
Yeah.
wanted the employees to be able to show their kids or grandkids who they worked for and what it was about.
Yeah.
It's a life story of me and Irv, but it leads into all the concerts and all the other things people didn't know we did. Like a lot of people don't know we handled the Pope here. I mean, they don't know.
Yeah,
So,
no, I mean, it's awesome.
how about we were the largest producer of Christian concerts, 2 Jewish guys. We had Amy Granite, we had Stephen Curtis Chapman, Stephen Curtis Chapman, we had Young Messiah, we had Utmost for His Highest. I mean, we're booking all this. Okay. I mean,
That sounds like an episode of Curb.
no, but we were the largest bookers
Yeah.
of comedy in America, especially black comedy. We were the co-producer of Kings of Comedy.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
So I gave Cedric his second start. His first start was with Russell Simmons, Def Jam, another guy that did a podcast all about, if it wasn't for Jewish people, he wouldn't have been as successful. Did a podcast on it. So, there's a lot of things people don't know
Incredible.
that we did.
Well,
this
we need
is-
to bring Steve for a second episode. That's a must. I'm gonna go read a book
Are you going to read a book?
because
this was
part
awesome.
of our shtick here is that we don't rehearse.
Nothing.
We don't come up with questions. We don't.
But
That's
these
the-
were good questions.
But that's good because it just came up.
This
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
our
It's
conversation.
organic.
That we do owe him a bagel, a coffee, a sandwich,
Yes.
the whole.
I'm going to the deli. I may go tomorrow.
Perfect.
Yeah. Find me a parking spot, though. I don't want to
That's the-
reserve spot.
That's a Maxine Clark
Issue.
grievance.
But I mean, everybody goes to lunch at
I
12
agree.
o'clock, and it's hard sometimes.
I agree.
You know what?
100%. I agree.
The
Trust
parking.
me.
I'll just Uber down. But you're not going to be there. You're not always there.
I'm not always there.
No. But anyway, that was a pleasure being here. I love.
He was incredible.
We
Yeah.
have 66,000 Jews, I understand, in St. Louis. That's a small number when you think about millions of people.
Well, we hope that a small number of Jews and non-Jews in St. Louis will at least hear
Well,
what we talked about today.
Intermarriages help. Hello.
Oh man,
That was
we
awesome.
appreciate
Thank
you.
you so
Well,
much.
remember
Steve.
what I said. I'm too old to live anybody else's dream. So today was just part of that dream.
I love
So
it.
thank you.
Steve
Incredible.
Shankman, love it.
Incredible. Wow, what an incredible.
Awesome, dude. That was great. We